Good morning, everyone. This is Kate Wade, and I am here with Get Her Hired. And it looks like we're getting people joined into the room now. Anne Marie, I'm going to see if I can move you over to be a panelist. So let's see if you can accept that. Good morning. Oh, we've got a number of familiar friends here, as well as some new faces. Hi, Emery. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi. And just so you know, Anne Marie, you don't have to stay on camera this whole time if you don't like. And if you don't know Anne Marie yet, she is the chief of staff here at Get Her Hired. She's our longest running employee. Like she knows and can do everything. So if I'm ever not around or reachable, Anne Marie, I call her the head boss in charge, but really I also call her the head bitch in charge because that's how we do around here. So thanks for joining in very early from California today, Anne Marie.
I'm excited,
All
and I
right.
will be moderating the chat. So if anyone has any questions, drop them in the chat or the Q&A, and I will pass them off to Kate.
Wonderful. Thanks, Anne Marie. And I do have a PDF I'm going to be sharing a little later. I've got a PowerPoint we can look at today. But first and foremost, this is all about you and your questions and your summer job search because there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of well-meant advice that can be really confusing about the summer job search. So, if you've got questions, if you've got any comments or anything, everyone here is attending anonymously, so you can use the Q&A. You can use the chat. I know sometimes this can need to be really discreet as you're searching for some new opportunities. So just know that we won't publish names of anyone attending. This is being recorded, so just let us know if you want to make sure we don't say your name aloud. So again, my name's Kate Wade, and I'm the founder and head writer at Get Her Hired, and we're on a mission to help 10,000 women, thems, and cool men land their next boss roles. And we do this by writing scroll-stopping resumes that get people hired. Hey, Lourdes. Lourdes is in the house too. Good morning. Lourdes is one of our writers here at Get Her Hired, and I'm so glad you were able to join today, Lourdes. Say hi.
Hello.
And she'll be in the background too, along with Anne Marie. So if you've got questions, you can write them directly to Lourdes and Anne Marie. And she'll be also helping monitor the Q&A and the chat. All right, so today, this has been coming up over and over again. And maybe you can put your hand up in the chat or something like that. Like if you've heard that job applications and the job world slows down in the summer. So I want to know if you've heard that and if that's something you're worried about. I see a couple of hands raised. Yes. Yeah, a couple of people are like, yes, I feel this. Okay. So we hear this information all the time, but I want to just take a moment and look behind it from what we see over here at Get Her Hired, what we see in reality with the people we're working with and what's happening. So while there are plenty of people who are out there taking vacations, I mean, I live in Minnesota. I'm not from here, but it seems like there's this thing if your family's been in Minnesota for more than a generation, everyone owns a cabin. And it's kind of like in Canada, everyone seems to own a cottage and people go away to them in the summertime, right? Well, that may be true, but only for a specific segment of the population. It's not true for all of us. So while that may be true for some people, it is not true for everyone. And I just want to assure you of that that is not necessarily something that you should be concerned about. Now, there are also slowdowns. I'm not going to say that the market doesn't slow down, right? Because there are slowdowns in decision making over the summer. But what we are seeing here with our clients at Get Her Hired is that the roles that are being posted. So if you're looking on LinkedIn or if you're using Google or whatever platform you're searching in, those roles that are getting posted right now are urgent and necessary. Okay, so the roles you're seeing right now, if they've been posted in the last 3, 4 weeks, they are really hiring for those roles. And I want you to believe that, trust that, and go after that. Okay, there's going to be plenty of people that will tell you, well, I can't get hired over the summer. We just yesterday heard about one of our clients getting a role as a chief people officer. We heard last week about someone getting a VP of human resources role. We heard again from someone just the week before getting a VP of clinical operations role. And they got that role through a cold application that they applied to online. Now, it was for a smaller company. It wasn't for one of the big 40 pharma companies. It was for a smaller company, but she did get that role just last week. Okay. She started it last week. And the work we do here at Get Her Hired prepares our clients for this type of activity and these types of actions. So if you are struggling and worried about your search this summer, put an anonymous note in the chat just to us as the panelists and let us know what's your biggest fear or concern or worry. What for you is do you feel is holding you back right now? Because I want to address those for us all. You can do it anonymously by just posting to the panelists and let us know what's the fear. What are you most concerned about with your search right now? And Lourdes, did we have anyone share a concern yet?
Yeah. Ella was saying, curious to know about strategies to reach out to folks on LinkedIn. Who would I reach out to for strategic informational interviews? She's in a sales as a service, sales account management / customer success role. What would be a great first intro message?
Great. Oh, this is a good question. So what you're saying behind the question is that you're wanting to know how to reach out to a human being. Okay. And this is number one, most important, because if anyone heard the jobs report from May and some of the information out there in the markets right now, there's a lot of noise around it being kind of like a flat market right now. We got all these students coming out of college and it's actually the worst market for them since 2007, 2008. So I'm not going to deny that it's not a tough market. But what the analysts are also saying and what we see is that when you connect with a human being, your likelihood of getting to the interview stage is much, much, much higher. So for example, we had a client last week who reached out to a few people at a very famous internationally renowned hospital system based in Rochester, Minnesota. And how did they get this interview and the second round interview? It was by reaching out to human beings and connecting with them. So, to the person's question, I would say if you're looking at a role at the company, my number one first step would be to see, do I know anyone who knows anyone there? Okay. So let's take ServiceNow as a company because you're in SaaS and you might be interested in something at ServiceNow, for example. Okay. So you would look and see who do I know who knows someone at ServiceNow. I don't know if you're at ServiceNow, so that would be funny if you are. But your first step would be to see who do I know there, and then connect with that person. And it might be a while since you've talked to them, but guess what? Here's how you're going to treat this. And I want everyone to listen up and get your pencils real sharp for this one. This is the point where people start sweating on me, wanting to throw up, and they just can't bring themselves to do this. So you haven't talked to this person who has a role at ServiceNow, which is a company you're interested in, but you haven't talked to them in 10 years. What I want you to do is pull together the energy that you might use to get your kid into that last seat at summer camp, okay? Or the energy you might use to make sure that your dog gets the best kennel over the Christmas holiday, okay? At the pet shelter, right? Like I want you to use the energy you would use on something that's incredibly important to you. And this time, that thing that's incredibly important to you gets to be you. Okay, so whatever that thing is that you would go to nth length to do, use that energy on yourself, and you're going to reach out to these people in your network. You haven't talked to them in a minute, cool, that's fine. You're going to send a note, and volume is going to matter here because there are plenty of people I talk to, and Lourdes knows this too, who they are only active on LinkedIn when they're searching for a job. Any of you ever been in that space? Like, I'm only active on LinkedIn when I'm searching for a job, right? Yeah. Okay, so this is true for lots of people. And now you get to be the change you want to see in the world. Okay, so just once you get active on it again, please stay active on it. So reaching out to the people that you know and warming up that conversation by checking in, seeing how they're doing, and letting them know that you're looking. And then you wait for a reply. Okay. And then maybe one of them will get back to you. So this is why you want to have a little bit of a volume. And then when you finally get through to someone, your question was, how do I find the right person to talk to? That's when you ask. Okay. So you ask, do you know anyone in this department? Do you know who's hiring for this role, or who in human resources might be the right talent acquisition person? And you get that introduction that way. Now, let's say that you don't have any connections at ServiceNow, but you want to get in there. What I would do is I would look for people who have the job title you want. So all you need to do in LinkedIn is search for the job title and the company name and see who comes up with that. And then through there, you can do a cold outreach to say, hey, I'm interested in finding out more about this opportunity I saw posted. And would you have any advice? Do you like working there? Do you know who I might be able to connect with? So just going ahead, again, using that energy you would use for someone other than yourself seems to work best for most people. And the vibe here is going to be, it's going to be professional. We're not being pushy, we're being professional. And we are working to get that connection within a company. Awesome. I think I saw another question pop in. Lourdes, did something else come up, or did someone share a fear that they have?
And I have something as well, Kate, once Lourdes asks
Oh,
her.
awesome. Thank you, Anne-Marie.
Um, yeah, so one of the questions, I've heard that all the rules have changed. No suits, no thank you notes, so much ghosting, and never say you know anyone at the company. I'm struggling with the right answers.
Ooh. Okay. Um, so ghosting happens because people are busy and it's not personal. And that's always been a thing. It's just that the volume of applications that are coming into people, they typically don't have capacity to acknowledge everyone, which is just a terrible thing. You'd think that we've got these smart systems, they can acknowledge everyone. And this is why, when I was saying to the first question, you want that volume, you want to connect with more than one person, and don't just apply through the system. So we at Get Her Hired recommend a both and approach. So yeah, go ahead and apply through the company's webpage. Go ahead and apply through the search firm's search process, you know, if you're working with the search firm, and reach out to people at the organization. Okay, never leave it just in one place if you see a role posted. So that's a big piece of our advice there. With regards to you know, the advice on not doing thank you letters, let me tell you what, I have recently hired a few different positions, and this may not be true for everybody. And the person who maybe gave you that advice was the kind of person that doesn't care about thank you notes, that doesn't care about, you know, how people show up for interviews or things like that. But I do care. I care. I read the cover letters. I look at people's profiles, and you can be guaranteed sure that talent acquisition people and hiring managers will look at your LinkedIn profile. Okay, they will. And um, I also read thank you notes and appreciate a thank you note, because here's the thing, someone can tell me that they have attention to detail. Let's say you're applying for a customer success role and you don't send me a thank you note. what does that tell me about the kind of customer success approach you might have, right? Like, would you treat our clients that way? And so I would say, with all of those questions, work with what is within your ethical boundary. So to you, if it's important to you, do it. If it's not important to you that someone writes you a thank you note, then you don't have to do it. But I would say go ahead and do it, because the 50% of people out there who do appreciate a cover letter and a thank you note will appreciate it. And those other ones, they're not going to care anyway. And so it's fine. They can, just delete that from their inbox. That's fine. So that's my advice there. Did I miss any part of that question, Lourdes? Okay, great. Anne Marie, what, you'd said you had something coming through.
Yeah, so a fear that came up is feeling the slowdown in hiring in general. This person
Mhm.
was getting interviews and hasn't been lately. They even had a
Mhm.
company that they were interviewing with actually go bankrupt during the hiring process because of tariffs and economic instability.
Yeah, yeah. So this is true. This is real. And I'm sorry to hear that. It's very competitive right now. There are a billion people on LinkedIn. For most job requisitions that are out there, they get hundreds, if not thousands, of applicants. And so it's very competitive. Your materials have to stand out. And you have to take that both and approach to making sure you're trying to find connections. So the other thing with this is, when you're looking, I want everyone to just try out OpenAI's ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude or Gemini. I want you, if you've been afraid to try it, just go try it. And my recommendation is to share with the chat bot the kinds of roles you're looking for in the kinds of industries that you're looking in. And I want you to ask it, what are 10 national search firms that place for roles like this within North America? Okay, and it's going to give you a list. And then I want you to say, great, now tell me, what are 10 search firms within my metropolitan or my metropolitan area or my region that place for this type of role? Then I want you to ask it, so to give you another list, what are 20 smaller, growing mid-cap organizations in my industry that I may not have heard of? And I want you to look at that list. And so while the larger companies are hiring right now for the most urgent and necessary roles, they are hiring. It may have slowed down, but they are hiring when the role is important. You can be looking at some of these smaller companies. Now, I wouldn't necessarily right now, I think the place where the person was asking the question was the organization went bankrupt in the midst of an interview process. So I'm not sure if that was a Series C, Series D, if that was a startup of some sort. But you may want to look for some companies that have a little bit more stability in them, or if you just need a job, just go for it. And if something happens and you can, do your search again, just don't stop. And this is really the truth. Once you start this search of your life, don't actually stop, okay? Keep going, because I want everyone who's on this call to get promoted and to get an increase in salary, a significant increase in salary every 2 years. And so in order to do that, don't stop after you start this search and land your next role. All right, we've got some more questions coming in, Lourdes. See in the
Amber,
chat.
yeah. So there's another fear about kind of an internal fear about not being enough, having imposter syndrome. Um, just trying to get beyond that imposter syndrome, feeling like in your head that you've done amazing things, but um, how do you override that fear that you're not enough, and how do you talk about yourself when you feel that way?
Yeah, well, you're not alone. And oof, that's a toughie. And I think we're conditioned so much to push down our value and our ego so that we can, focus on taking care of other people, whether that's in our lives at home personally or at work. There are so many good, capable people out there who are highly accomplished and skilled, and yet struggle with accepting their own worth and value. And while we are not therapists, and I recommend therapists, I go to therapy every week. um, I would recommend that the first thing we do when we're working with a client is we create a document that is called your single source of truth. And anyone can create this. And I'll tell you right now, I'll give you for free how we do this. We pull together all of your resume information. We pull together your LinkedIn profile. We pull together any performance reviews you've had, articles you've authored, public speaking events you've done, awards you've won, any feedback on what other people say about you, assessments and 360s and Myers-Briggs and all those things. We pull this into one document for you. And I just finished one this morning for a client that is 14 pages long. Okay, so this is not a resume. This is her single source of truth about who she is and what a bad freaking ass she is, like how incredibly talented and accomplished she is. Now, sometimes our clients, when they see these like 10 or 14-page documents, they're overwhelmed and they're like, is that me? And I will say this, at Get Her Hired, we do not make up data. So I ask the client then, is all of this true? And 100% of the time they say, well, yeah, I might phrase that differently. And typically what they're doing when they say they would phrase it differently is they're removing their ownership of it and kind of downgrading their ownership of it. That's typically what I see happen there. But the fact of the matter is that they did a lot of work. And so for anyone out there who's feeling that impostery syndrome thing, I want you to take facts and place the facts over your fear. I'm not going to tell you that you shouldn't feel imposter syndrome. I'm not going to like try to gaslight you that this is not what you should feel and just get over it. No, look at your facts and I want you to really take them in. If you can put everything together into one document or just print stuff out and look at it all in one thing, maybe you don't put it into one document, but just look at it all together visually in one place. And then tell yourself, is this true? And then let's see if your fears can fade a little bit from that. Okay. So putting the facts ahead of your fears, that's what I recommend doing there, if that's you. Anne Marie, do we have any other questions coming in that you've observed?
Yes, this person said there were recently a reduction in force after over 30 years. They're wondering how important is a LinkedIn profile?
Mhm. It is. So how important is it? Well, here's the deal. After 30 years, you're probably going to get your next role through a person you know already or someone that they know. Okay. And so is it important? Probably, especially if you're in a senior level role, you should create one. It's not going to be an effective search tool for you because you need to have over 500 connection points in order for your profile to really be working for you. So if you're just building a LinkedIn profile now, it's not going to be helpful for your search necessarily. It is going to be a great way for people to validate your background and just double check on your career history. So I would create one anyway, but your search strategy is mostly going to be about connecting with people you know, contractors you've worked with, vendors you've had relationships with, old colleagues, former, you went and took a certification course and there was someone you met there. Those kinds of relationships. Also, I would never downplay the relationships you can find in your own community. So, for example, I met Lourdes because she served on a volunteer board that I was on, right? And so it wasn't connected to resumes or career stuff, but that's how I met Lourdes. I met Anne Marie because she was in a similar book club to one I was in. So just know that there are people out there that you can connect with that aren't actually related directly to the business you want to be in, who can be fantastic allies and help introduce you to the right people. Yeah. Other questions that have come in. Anything?
Think we're caught up right now.
Okay, great.
Keep
So
them coming.
keep them coming. Yeah. Um, we do not judge here. We love everybody. So please send us and I will say this, sometimes this can feel really lonely and people feel really alone and down in your search. And it can start to feel personal. And um, I will say that if you're not getting interviews, the thing to look at first and foremost is your resume, because basically when the job of your resume is to get you interviews. And so if you're not getting any, that's when you need to look at your resume. If you want to book a call with us and talk about your resume, we're happy to have that conversation, review with you what you want to do, and take a quick, I can look at your resume and within 30 seconds tell you whether it's the problem or not. I won't fix it for you right there, but I will tell you if it's the problem or not. But it's typically not so much about who we are as humans, but it's in our strategy and tactics. Okay. So it's not your value and your worth is nothing, nothing less just because you're still searching. It's just what's your strategy and what are the tactics you're using. And that's why we put together this 12-week summer search plan, which apparently it's the headline, okay? And everyone will get a copy of this if you have registered for today. But we want to make sure that you're getting interviews before Labor Day, okay? So let me see. Lourdes, can you tell me, I'm going to share the PowerPoint that I have. And I'm wondering if it will share it in slideshow. Can you see the slideshow, or are you seeing the document?
I'm seeing the document.
Okay, hang on. I hate this. Sometimes it's tricky to know. Okay, now I hope you're seeing it in slideshow mode.
Yes.
What do you think?
Success.
Do you see the PowerPoint header? No. Okay, good. All right. So this is what we want to be talking about here today is what are some tactics, what's an approach you can take so to make sure that you're getting those interviews this summer. So in this plan, we've got weeks 1 through 4 and then 5 through 12. So if you haven't started your search yet, you get to start it today. Today is week 1 for you. And maybe you've already done this. So the first question is, what do you really want? Now, this may seem simple, but something that we have found with people that come to us who are not landing interviews is that they're open to too many kinds of roles. And what we want you to do here is narrow it in for 12 weeks and commit to one type of role. Now, when I say this, some people get the FOMO, they start pitting out, they're sweating, they're like, oh my God, I can't do that because what if I see another role over in this other area? To that, I say, cool, cool, cool. Yes, if you see something like that, go ahead and apply. But I want your focus, your strategy to be on one role. And the reason why is because the market, the world loves specificity. So if you're networking with people and talking to people, you want to give them one thing that you're looking for, not anything that you're looking for. Okay. If you're open to everything, you're going to get nothing. So for the next 12 weeks, focusing in on one title or adjacent titles to that one title, but really being pretty specific. When we do this, people can introduce us more easily, refer us, forward jobs our way, all sorts of stuff opens up. When we say we're open to everything, no one's going to forward you anything because they just don't know how to talk about you and how to really present you in the best way. So that's why this week we want you to settle in on one title, one type of company where you can do one type of thing. So if you already know that, you can move on to week 2. And now this is where we do a lot of work for our clients when we're doing the writing. We've got people that come in and their resumes look like a list of job description bullets. That's great. That's fine. And it's a starting point. From that starting point, we encourage you to look at and work on, well, what happened because I was there? What was moved forward in this area because I was there? And we want you to include, things that maybe aren't even complete, but you know what the goal was for the project, working on a project that will increase efficiency by 20%. Okay. That is a legit bullet. But the reason why we want you to use more of this data and quantification in your document is lots of people can tell me that they're great at organization. They're great at systems and operationalizing systems. They can tell me that. But I want to actually see it because I don't know what scale you work at. I don't know the capability you have to work at enterprise level, or if you've worked in my field before, if you've handled certain, problems with R&D or et cetera. So you just want to be specific rather than general in as you quantify things. Um, for your LinkedIn, you want to make sure that you're attracting people. So this is on week 3. You can use our framework here. What we do for the headline is the title that you either have or are looking for aspirationally. Then we put a tall pipe and 3 keywords about your skills in that area, and then a power statement. So a power statement could be something like, on a mission to help 10,000 women, thems, and cool men land their next boss role. So I put a mission statement in there as my power statement. For you, what that could look like is what's a mission that you are on? Why does your work matter? Who cares about why it matters what you do? And turn that into a mission statement. And if anyone wants to try that out, raise your hand and let Lourdes or Anne Marie know, and we can try it out. I just have a couple quick questions for you, and we can write a little mission power statement that could go at the end of your LinkedIn headline. Update your about section, use your experience section. Basically, one thing I hear from people is, I don't do social media. That's fine. And LinkedIn is not social media, it is a career tool. It is a search engine optimized tool. And if you're not using it, you're probably going to be lagging behind in the market where you could be. So please use it, check your analytics, see if you're being found, all that good stuff. And if you don't have your open to work on, turn it on, but to recruiters only. You don't have to put your green ribbon on if you don't want to, but please do use that. Oh, and here's a really important note about LinkedIn that a lot of people don't know. If you do not have a to present position listed, so let's say your position ended a month ago and you updated your LinkedIn to say it ended in May 2025. LinkedIn actually has an unemployment bias. Isn't that fun? So it's going to return your search results, your profile lower in the search results. So you would want to absolutely put a to present position in your profile and have it be the title of the job you're looking for. At the company, say open to work, and then in the experience, that about narrative section for that, talk exactly about what you're looking for. Okay. So this is like our first 4 weeks, because you could possibly do this in a day or 2 if you've got time, but we want to get you set up so that in the next 5 to 12 weeks, you can execute and build that momentum. I'm going to pause there and see what questions might have come in since we last chatted.
One question is related to how employers are using AI to screen first level applications.
Mhm. Yeah, so I would say that most companies are using it. And that is why we recommend both and. So there are people out there using these tools and paying a lot of money for tools to ATS proof, optimize their resume to keywords. That is not our deal here at Get Her Hired. If you want to do that, that's great. But basically, you're competing with anybody else who has $100 to spend on using one of those tools to optimize for applicant tracking system keywords. The better approach where you actually have more control and can actually show up as yourself, especially if you're in a more senior level position, is to write a resume that sounds like you, that has your actual results. You can tailor the top 1/3 of that resume to the role, but you're going to be reaching out to human beings and applying so that we don't want to just apply. If there's one thing you take away from this, and this is really true based on the market right now, the analytics we've been seeing from the job reports, anyone you listen to right now talking about the employment in the North America right now, in the United States right now specifically, you have to network. So please take that away. If you're going to apply, also find multiple human beings in that organization and let them know you have applied and are interested in the role. Okay. That's how I would get around the ATS. I mean, the other thing that's happening, and we've got a recruiter on with us next week, Anne-Marie, is that right? Is Kathy's event with us next week?
Yes, I believe it's the 26th. Yeah, Thursday the 26th, 1 p.m. Central Time.
Perfect. Okay. Thursday, 1 p.m. We're going to have Kathy Arnold on, and she is a senior talent acquisition recruiter with a search firm in Minneapolis, St. Paul. And she's going to answer all your questions you might have for recruiters. But recruiters will tell you, it's so important to be looking beyond just the posting and connect with people, connect with human beings, because yes, the applicant tracking systems are real. The other thing that's real is that resumes and job descriptions are both being written with AI now. And it kind of is becoming this weird echo chamber of nothingness. So if you imagine the manager wrote the job description using AI, and then we adjust our resumes based on AI, and then it becomes this like, I don't know. I don't know what even happens. I would hate to be a hiring manager right now that is looking at so many AI built resumes for positions that really matter, right? So this summer they're hiring for those jobs that are important, they're critical, they're urgent, and so they want to see real information. So please don't rely on AI alone to write your resume. Use your own brain, your own accomplishments. Look at other people's resumes. You can see my resume is posted on my LinkedIn profile at the very top if you want to use that as an example, but stand out. Do not let AI write your whole resume, because you're going to just wind up in some echo chamber of fifth degree of hell that you don't want to be in.
Yeah, such a good point. And we had another question come in. Someone was asking if it's worth the investment to use LinkedIn Premium.
Mm. Mm. All right. No, here's why. LinkedIn tries to make money. Okay. And they make money on these things. They make money. They the purpose of it is, what they often tell you is so that you can see who's looked at your profile, right? Or that you can look at other people's profiles anonymously. To the latter of that, I say never, never worry about looking at someone's profile anonymously. If you really, I'm always like, I want people to know I'm looking at their profile, then maybe they'll reach out to me if I haven't reached out to them. So just go ahead and look at people's profiles, whatever. Because the other part of this is, so LinkedIn will tell you, you'll get to see people who, the names of and companies of people who've looked at your profile, but that is not true. Because once you have premium, you can decide in your settings whether people can see who you are or not. So regardless if you've paid for premium or not, and if the reason you're doing it is so that you can see who's looked at your profile, it doesn't matter because they have the freedom to change the settings. So in terms of premium, I say no. I would rather you spend that $70 on yourself, getting ready for your interviews, um, just having coffees with people. Okay, it's $70 a month. Don't do it. I mean, use it for free because they usually give you an intro and see how much you actually use it. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, we had another question about what do you suggest if you find that there was a typo in your materials after you've submitted for a role that you're quite interested in?
Yeah, just resend it, fix it and resend it. People love people with humility. Not that I'm saying this is humiliating, but like, hey, honest mistake. I saw that there was a typo and I don't want that to represent me. And here's a fresh version for your consideration. That's what I would do. Just go ahead and own it. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, there's one related to what are your thoughts of creating a video to send along with your application to show the employer who you are? And
Hell
if
yes.
that is a good idea, what would you include?
Oh, yeah. Perfect. I love that. I would use Loom or Zoom. You can, or whatever is easiest. I like Loom because Loom. It's limited to 5 minutes, which is good for most people. You can double check it before you send it, okay? And then you can also see if someone actually views it or not. Okay. What I would include with it is basically what you might say about yourself in answer to the question, so tell me about yourself. We have a whole way of writing a script for our clients, how to answer the so tell me about yourself question. And essentially, I'll give it to you here right now. Essentially, what it is they're just trying to understand, uh, do they like you? Do they trust you? And do they think you could be capable of doing the job? Do they like you? Do they trust you? Do you think you're going to be there? Do they think you're capable of doing the job? And what happens most of the time when people get asked the question, so tell me about yourself, is you review and read your entire resume. Oh, hell no. Don't do that. Okay. And so for this video, you can practice this, and everyone here can do this because Loom, Loom, gives you the opportunity to do a number of videos for free before you have to pay for anything. Okay. And so you can go out there and practice. What would you say if someone asked you, and this is very much typically the first interview question. So tell me about yourself. Even if they say, so tell me about your resume, or so tell me about your background, or so tell me about your career history. All you say is something to something to the point of, well, this is what I've done most recently. I've had this background and used these skills. I have accomplished these impacts. And what I'm interested in doing next is X, Y, and Z. We're not sharing about kids. We're not reading a resume. We don't talk about our cats and dogs. We don't, none of that kind of stuff. You're going to talk about the things you've accomplished, the things you're really proud of, how that matches and matters to what the company is hiring for and what you're talking about, and then what you want to do next. That is going to then open a conversational green flag in the interview. Okay. A red flag would be, I'm reading my resume to you. I don't care. I can read your freaking resume. That is not why the person's asking that question. Again, they want to know if they like you. if they can trust you, and if they think you're capable of doing the job. So that's what I would put in that video to people. I see a chat question about hiring managers complaining about too many applicants directly reaching out to them. Send a message instead with your resume and a statement or two on your background. Do I have thoughts on this? Well, yeah, I do. I have thoughts on everything. So to answer that question, hiring managers complaining about too many applicants directly reaching out to them. When I've hired recently, here's what I've experienced as a hiring manager. Generic, copy and pasted sentences. I'm interested in applying for this role. Here's my resume. I've even had people say resume attached, and that was it, as they reached out. What I actually paid attention to was when someone actually wrote me a really nice note, when someone sent a video, okay, when someone shared a little bit more personally about what they were interested in and why. That actually made a difference to me. So there are always going to be some hiring managers out there complaining. But I will tell you what, it's not senior level hiring managers complaining. It's probably junior level hiring managers that are hiring for other individual contributor roles. If you are applying for a senior role, senior people do not mind receiving notes from people. So if you're applying for a C level, a V level, those talent acquisition people, those recruiters, those hiring managers love to get, not all of them, of course, but the more senior you are, the more, if you don't have a connection, the more important it is for you to build that trust. And doing that type of reach out, I think it's important. And so again, well-intended advice, but maybe not for someone at the level you're at if you're no longer an individual contributor. All right, we are coming close to the end here, and I want to know for sure if there are any burning desires. Before we go into that, I just want to show you the rest of this plan so that you know how to use this. We're saying apply to 3 to 5 roles a week, okay? You don't have to do more than that. If you're doing more than that, you're not being specific enough, okay? If that scares you, fine. If you want to apply to more than 3 to 5 roles a week, you have that amount of time, go ahead. Make sure that the top third of your resume is directed to the job specifically, and then have direct messages to people at the company. Remember, we're doing both and, so you can apply and connect with people. You're going to start networking, okay? You're going to be doing your coffee chats. When you do a coffee chat, you need to actually ask for an introduction. So don't leave it with, oh, this was great. It was so nice to catch up. Oh, no, 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 no. You say, do you know anyone you can introduce me to right now? And then would you please introduce me to them? And what can I do for you in return? Is there anyone in my network I can introduce you to? Okay, so return the favor right there in the moment, but do not walk away without asking for that introduction. You want to comment on other people's content on LinkedIn, so you don't have to post. I mean, if you do want to post, go for it. It's definitely gonna help raise your visibility. But if you can't do that, comment on 3 to 5 posts a day, okay? If you're really serious about this, if you want to land interviews before Labor Day, these are some things you can do. You want to practice interviewing. You're going to rehearse with a friend. You could record yourself on Loom or Zoom. Prepare some questions that you can ask at the end of an interview. I hate it. I had someone I was interviewing to work with us, and they don't have questions at the end of the interview. And I'm like, really? I want to hire a critical thinker who's creative. And you don't have a question for me? That just raises a red flag for me, or at least an orange flag. Review what's working and what's not working. So if so far you've been applying, I want you to, if this is something you could do today, what has been working in your search and what hasn't, and review it again a little later, what is working and what isn't. And follow up, okay? And if you know you need help and you can't do this. You've been trying this, you've been doing this for a while, it's not working, and you want to get some input or have, have us chat with you about where you are in your search, book a call. We'll be sure to send out a link where you can book a call to chat with us about that. Um, all right, so we're coming to our close. Were there any other questions that came in, Anne Marie or Lourdes?
Not that I've seen, no.
Oh, sorry, I
No.
couldn't hear you there.
Oh, I said no. Not that
Okay.
I've seen.
Okay. So no open questions. Okay. Great. Okay. So really what's most important here to take away, I would say, is trust yourself. All right. So there's lots of advice out there, and we could develop fear based on the things that we're hearing. What can we control? We can control our actions. And so take actions that are aligned with your values and your ethics. If you're a thank you note person, send a thank you note. If you are someone who is afraid to connect and network with people, um, let the facts speak louder than your fear. Okay. So the fact is, you're probably going to land your role through a connection. So go out there and use the energy that you would use to get your kid into that last summer camp class, your doggy into the best kennel for Christmas break. Whatever that energy is, use it for yourself. Know that ATS is real, and that's why you want to use the both and positioning. You want to focus in your search to one role with a few little halo adjacent roles around it. We don't want to be searching for too many roles at one time because it confuses people. They don't know who to introduce us to. And while it may seem like summer is slow, this is our time to go for it, because let's let other people assume that. You now know that the urgent and critical roles are being interviewed for and hired for right now. We just had 3 or 4, I can't even remember, Lourdes and Emery, just in the last week, 2 weeks, like 3 or 4 people tell us about roles that they've landed, that they're starting. So it's happening. Don't let the fear tactics out there about the market scare you. There are roles to be had, and the clients we work with are landing those interviews. The work that we do, we can't guarantee you a job, because a job requires that you show up for the interview well, that it's a good fit with the company, that the company stays in business. Someone said there was a bankruptcy. And so there's things we can't control for, but when you work with us, the materials you use are going to get you interviews, and that's what we guarantee. And that's the job of your resume. So we're going to wrap it up there. I want you to know where everyone who's been on the call today gets our 12-week plan. So you get to have this. And please, if I send it, use it. Okay. And send it to your friends. Send it to the people you love who are looking for a job, because this world needs joy, hope, power, empowerment. There's so much bad junk out there in the world, right? Like, but let's take this and control what we can with it, which is how we show up and how we act. And you'll also get then a link if you want to book a call to have us take a peek at your resume. And then finally, I invite you to come next week. Anne Marie can, again, maybe you can share in the chat, Anne Marie, about next week's event with Kathy Arnold. So if you have questions and you want to ask them directly to someone who's in a search firm that is placing people in candidates for interviews in a search firm, come to our undeniable session next week and you can ask all those questions.
Yeah, so
All right.
unfortunately, I am unable to chat with everyone right now. So I will send it in the follow-up email, the AI prompts that Kate mentioned, the registration link for Kathy Arnold, and the 12-week job search strategy.
Fantastic. So it's next Thursday, you said at 1 p.m. Central, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, and we'll send that to you all. All right. Well, we wish everyone a fantastic afternoon and go out there, do some good righteous work for Juneteenth this week. Our office is closed for Juneteenth because we are going to be out doing something righteous. And thanks for joining. Take care. We wish you great success. Bye bye.